Okay. So I think we're going to be your holdup for lunch. So we're going to do the best we can to go as quickly as we can. But we do want to make sure and get you some of this data. And if there are any questions, be able to address them. This is probably a hot topic with a lot of more grunts than happiness around it. But we do feel this is really important for us to get in front of you and talk through these things. Didn't know that it was going to be shared, our frequency of meetings with Khalid, but we do put in a lot of, I'm going to say, fight for a lot of things that you guys may not realize. And we have worked really hard to better understand all systems at Netsync. Because I don't know if you realize there's a lot of different systems feeding into Savant. So as you know, we've had a lot of changes in a lot of systems, and that obviously is going to have an impact on all the dependency applications. So there's a lot of discussions. We may have a set meeting with Khalid weekly, but the amount we bother him is a lot more than that.
We have a chat with him that dings just about every couple minutes.
Yeah. He showed up here the other day. We've been here all week, and to some of Jeff's sentiment, we've also heard all of our customers talking about how great our delivery team is. So do know that's not just a sales guy being a sales guy. That is true. We had 3 customers drive from Houston on their own. Okay, they were not paid to be here. They were asked, and they did it because they enjoy Netsync. So do realize that was not just a salesperson. That is real. You are appreciated. But we've been here all week. Khalid made a small appearance, and I quickly ran over because I had a Savant thing that I had not gotten addressed, and he just looked at me like, man, he already knew I was coming to say hi. So do know there is a lot of attention, a lot of your feedback in all your spaces we are ingesting along with some of your managers. But like I said, there's a lot of dependencies going on and a lot of really good changes that are getting worked through. And as Carl mentioned earlier, once we get over that, it's going to be amazing. Okay, so just keep bearing with us.
Because we're changing so much and things are changing so quickly, that's why it's hard to put together processes and tools and training, because it changes so frequently, which is a good thing. We're changing because we're growing and we need more. It's painful. Change is painful. We just in the last 6 months, we moved from NAV to BC, which was a huge change. Every system feeds into that, and that's our main ERP system. So that was huge. We moved away from CRM being the front for pre-sales, and now it's all in Scoop. Everything talks to Scoop as well. So with this training in Savant, we're going to give you a high level today, and we hope to continue these training sessions, whether it be just quick brown bag lunch sessions or videos that we do. We're trying to keep you in the know on how to do things, where to find things, changes that are coming up. So please be patient. I know it's frustrating. I'm frustrated. But that means that we're growing and we're changing. So please just bear with us. All right? Okay, so the first thing we wanted to go over, and this was probably not communicated well. Originally, the way Savant was set up is projects right up here was advertised as where the engineers and the service delivery group should go to look at project information. Projects was set up to be a customer-facing view, meaning there's no internal information, no internal financials, no internal statuses, things like that. So everything that's on projects is something that a customer can see. Okay? We have a PMO tab, which is what the project managers use and what we're going to recommend that you use. This has all of the information on a project that is beneficial to you internally. And so we're going to sort of run you through it, give you some tips and tricks on how to find things and what's out there, so that maybe it'll make your life a little easier. Okay, So this is the PMO view. If you're a project manager, you can set it up to your projects that you're assigned to. If you're not, you will see every project that's out there right now. A key thing is to adjust your filters. If you don't adjust your filters, you're not going to see what you want to see. So we've sort of given you just a high level of what you need to do. You can click on show closed jobs or hide closed jobs. If you have a closed job you need to go find documentation or something out there, you can check show. But for the most part, you'll hide it. Same with canceled projects. Another big piece are the job types. When we moved to BC, job types changed. That wasn't really communicated very well, but they changed in the back end. So for your view, you'll want to select these two job types if you're doing projects. 300 is a fixed price project. 310 is a T&E project. If you're in managed services or in end user devices, or you're doing blocks of hours, these are all of the job types. So if there's something else that you do, you can add that job type to your filter so you'll see those jobs. Okay. The other big thing, and we've seen this in timesheets, is making sure that you choose your right columns so that you see what you need to see and in the order. Everything is customizable to your view, so the default view probably is not going to help you. So by clicking the little three dots up anywhere on the headers, you can choose your columns. So you click choose columns, and these are the sample ones that we say that probably are the most important for you to select, but this gives you all of the option of information that you can see on a project. So that's important as well. One thing to note, description. So what is defaulted in here is the project name. The project name is only editable in BC, which is the former NAV. Only purchasing, accounting, and some back-end people have access to that. As project managers, we update the description field because that is something we can update in Savant. So the project name or the friendly name, which you know it as, probably what the title of the SOW is or what the project is about, is going to be the description. So you want to make sure that you have the description column showing in your column selected because it's going to tell you what the project is. So that's important. Project name, sometimes it will have something in there. Most of the time it's blank. Okay. And on this, there's a search feature, and you can search by just about anything. So you can search by a job number if you have it. You can search by a customer name if you have the sales order, or if you know your PM on that project, you could search by the PM. It's pretty smart, so if there's anything in there, if you have a keyword of what the project is, and it's in that description name, it should pop up. So you'll be able to search to find different projects. Another thing that's important to note is there is a date range that when you see your project list. It usually ranges, I think it's defaulted to 2 or 3 or probably 2 years. If you have an older project that's been going on for a long time, if you don't update your date range, you won't see it. So if you search for a project and you can't find it, this is some way to go and look at your start date and push it back to see if it shows up.
Okay, so schedule. So this was a really big update we did right before the holidays. Some of you have probably seen it. If you haven't, I hope you start seeing it in the next few months, as this is something we're about to be pushing really hard. So one of the biggest things as a project manager that we struggle with and then bother you about is current status and making sure that is known not only internally, but to the customer, and getting those updates and being able to quickly transform that into a status report. There's various formats we do that, but a way to get that data to the customer. A lot of the times it may be leadership at the customers asking for something quicker in an off cycle when we'd be sending our status normally. So we have had a lot of discussions about the existing way we were using a schedule and trying to track tasks. And we kind of landed on trying to use this method. This should look pretty familiar probably to a lot of you. There's a few different solutions out there that use these type of task cards to do task tracking. So we now have this board with task cards. Now, for most of you, you may not connect the dots because you see the scope, you read it, but you look for your technical points, right? But in our scope of work, we have our project lifecycle. And those lifecycle items are exactly what you see as a default task on any scheduled job card when a job is stood up. So it's helping us reinforce the key milestones in a project that we should be hitting each time, okay? So with this, we can adjust these, customize it, completely delete everything that fits that project, build out what fits the project, and get task added. Usually you're working with your project manager as a consultant to document your task, right? Before you get into kickoff, hopefully at least at a high level, but for sure as you go through discovery and design, we want to get those in here. And by we, I mean the PMO. If we can start ingesting as the PMO your task into Savant, that means we'll be able to better auto-generate schedules, and we'll be able to quickly adjust those schedules, okay? Now, I know probably some of you consultants like, I've got to do another thing in Savant. I'm already supposed to put my status updates in there and my own things I've been working on. We've talked about this with all the practice group managers. I have expressed, I'm not a fan of the consultants going in weekly and putting updates on the project, right? For a few reasons. One, if that's the only way our team knows your update, then there's breakdown in communication on the project team, and we need to fix that. The project team should only not be talking only once a week, right? That's when there's a chance the project is not going to succeed at the level it should. Two, that data and where it's being inputted doesn't allow us to quickly pull it and add it into a report, right? So we're trying to find a way to be more efficient, not only in the PMO, but with your consultant time to get us the data, okay? So we get task entered in here. What we would be expecting is the PM will enter your task. They can set priority. They can set the start date, end date, and they can assign users. What's not shown is there's also ways for you to upload documents. All we'd be asking is give the PM time up front to go through what the tasks are so they can get inputted, right? Normal process that already should be happening. Then once those tasks are in there, guess what? When you kick off a task, all you need to do is go to that task and update progress. The PM then can check this. And we have, hopefully most of you have seen in the documentation section, when a new document's uploaded, there's like a green star. When a task card has been edited, there's a top bar that turns green. So the PM can quickly see tasks have been changed and updated, and they can go pull that data, okay? So therefore, as you work on it, you come in here once or twice a week, you update progress, the PM's checking that, we're getting real-time updates. So for those of you who like to be doing your updates and work on things at 10 p.m. or 5 a.m. and you just don't think to send down an update, you can go in here and do it. And it's on the PM to make sure they're checking this frequently enough to get those updates. This does not mean we're removing your communication with the PM. It does not mean they're not going to ask you for additional information. But we're trying to give you guys a more efficient way to get us updates in a place that we can then do something with that data more efficiently, okay? So long-term vision and why that's important. If we can get data in here, we can automate status reports, and ultimately a vision we have as PMO is a dashboard for your projects. Sure, most of you have seen with working with other third-party solutions, they have links to dashboards. You click, it's a pretty web page that shows up with a quick status, maybe some visuals of task not started, in progress, and complete, some links to some things. It's a true dashboard view of your project. We don't have that today, but we cannot get to those points to be able to provide that not only to us internally, but to our customers unless we get the data in here. And this is gonna be the first start.
Something important to note right now, this is only internal. It's only visible on the PMO module. So the customer is not seeing it. And the reason for that is we want to get everyone comfortable using it and make sure that it's being populated before we introduce it to the customer. The worst thing we could do is tell the customer, hey, we've got this great tool, and then no one's using it. So right now, we're introducing it and we're testing it out, making sure that we get all of the kinks out of there. And then once we're to a point where we think that it's ready to bring in front of the customer, we'll work with Khalid to move it over to the projects modules to where they can see it and interact with it as well.
Okay.
Really trying to skip it.
I know. I think
one thing I want to say really quick
my...
before I forget, I want to thank Jen Solis. She helped a lot with getting all of these slides together and screenshots. So thank you, Jen. Sorry, I didn't say that before.
So I think probably a good portion of you who go into Savant to do updates today are familiar with this section. Again, really want to push you towards the schedule, not having to do updates in here as consultants. But one of the big things we want to call out with this is we added something new recently, risk. So usually in a project, a risk comes up. And usually we're reactive to it. We need to start being more proactive. So part of your conversations, either during your IKO or in prep for the KO, or even during discovery and design, if you have a risk, whether it's small or big, with that project, that customer, please call it out to the PM. We need to start documenting our risk and being proactive thinking about it so we don't get to the point that it impacts a project, right? If we can prevent that, we're gonna have more successful projects with the customer. That doesn't mean that's a Netsync risk. I think most of the risk I document in my projects are actually customer risk that they need to own. So some of this is also finding a better way to hold our customers more accountable for their difficult environments, right? I get that's not always a comfortable situation, but it's a conversation that needs to happen. We can better protect ourselves by documenting risk at the beginning of a project and going into kickoff, design, and discovery, already having things called out. And the PMs can work with the customer's point of contact to talk about those and make sure they're accounted for, okay? So these are gonna be big. This is another big item that we can pull data from if we can get it in here, that I will tell you, most leaderships at any of our customers, if there's an escalation because an issue had happened, they ask, why didn't we know about it? How could we have predicted this? A lot of it sometimes, guys, is something, if we would have sat down and looked at a risk perspective of what could go wrong, we could have found it and at least called it out. And guess what? We called it out to the customer, we brought it up, it's documented, and they didn't do something, and we had a failure due to a lack on the customer side. Guess what, guys? You just had a CYA, right? So again, I know some of it sounds like, man, I got to do more work up front now on a project. It's all for the better of protecting us and making us more successful. And again, some of these conversations should be happening, and they shouldn't be long conversations. Talk about a risk on a project should be something you guys should be able to knock out in 5 or 10 minutes, right? So big thing you're gonna hear us start pushing a lot, that we really wanna see some improvement as a whole of Netsync documenting so we can be more proactive. Now is it even gonna work? There, wow. Okay, equipment and ETAs and invoices. So wanted to just show you guys kind of the most efficient way if you're curious to check equipment ETAs. Most of you probably don't get asked about invoices, and if you do, please direct them to the PM. But for some of the users in here that sometimes kind of want to understand where they can pull the data on their own, or especially there's some of the practice group managers, I don't know how much they've even seen where we can quickly identify invoices and where we're at. So within the project, we have the equipment tab. There's some projects have multiple sales orders. For those who work large refresh projects, and there could be, especially E-rate, each site's an SO. You're not gonna know the SOs and which site name. We're trying to find a way to bring in friendly names to SOs so that it can quickly be identified for the whole project team what you're looking at based on the SO number. But if you go through the SOs, usually there is friendly names in these descriptions up here in the body of the tables, but this will tell you ETAs. And then we have the ability to quickly click and see invoices and see if these SOs have been invoiced or not. One thing that is important with the invoicing and why it's such a big deal, I've probably had a handful of conversations in the last 18 months around equipment. And the PM's asking me to tell them exactly what we need to request with equipment. And I just gave them high level. Why do I need to give them more detail? Well, a few reasons. When we request equipment from the warehouse, we have to request by a sales order. If that equipment hasn't invoiced, a dummy sales order gets created. And now we have a new sales order we have to use. And sometimes issues happen, surprise, surprise. And we need to use multiple sales order just to request equipment for one site. So we have to know what's been invoiced, what's not. We have to know every single part number because we have to figure out what SO it's on. And then the no cost part numbers. I know a lot of you get frustrated. Why do I have to even mark the no cost part numbers that you need this? Well, please remember the PMs aren't technical. They may not know it's a no cost part number or that it's automatically included in the SKU and it doesn't need to be part marked. But on top of that, if it does not get tagged in the warehouse when we request it, accounting will probably email that PM once they figure it out 2-3 times a week saying, can this be invoiced? Can it be pulled? Okay, so please, please, please just work with our team and they should hopefully be sending you an Excel workbook. That's an export of the bill of materials for you to mark up. It is very important that we fully understand every single part, whether it's a no cost part included or not, that needs to be requested. Documentation. I think probably most of you are very familiar with this. The big thing I'm going to call out is the ability to bulk download. Previously, we did not have that at all. For Taylor's team and probably some of you consultants, this is huge, right? So from a PM perspective, when we have to give customers copies of photos that they know we came outside and site surveyed 50 buildings and they want all the photo by building, we used to have to go click, click, click 2,000 times. These are the small things, guys, that aren't quick things to get done, right? Getting this type of functionality, you would think, oh, just some developer go do 1 or 2 clicks and give it to me, right? That's not the way that works. The ability to have the view of the documents, I don't know if you guys have noticed, there's a view option now that you don't have to download documents. You can just view them and it will just pop up. Okay, those type of abilities aren't just a few clicks and we're there. So I know some of these things kind of seem small, but that's where we're trying to stress. There's a lot of work going on the back end to get us to some points to make you guys more efficient in every aspect of your job. Mm-hmm. It's April. I think we got this before the new year. So it's been a good 4 or 5 months. Yeah.
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 So one of the questions was around documentation. I just sort of want to explain this. So project documents is pretty much everything in the back end is in SharePoint. But project documents are going to be your documents for your project that you put in there. You create folders. There's an internal folder. This is where if anything ships out or is delivered, your what are they called? Packing slips are out there, so you can see that as well. So you'll see all of the folders that are pre-populated in there, and then you also have the ability to add more. On the pre-sales documents, This is where your final SAO is going to be. So this is the final folder in Scoop/CRM. So whatever is in there, that's going to be in pre-sales documents. Old documents, that was the old SharePoint. We probably need to get that taken away. Design as built. If you're a consultant, you probably know this. This is where your designs, your mops, your as-builts are uploaded for editing and technical review. And then SO Docs. This is something that is pretty cool. This is all of the documentation that is saved out in NAV or BC from purchasing or pre-sales. So it should have the customer's PO in there. It should have, if they set up a project a certain way or there's backstory, it will have those emails in there. So whatever's stored on that sales order or sales orders that's associated to that project, it will be in that SO Docs tab in that folder for you to see as well. So it's a lot of times if you want to go out and see the customer's PO, and you can go download it there. The only place that you'll create a folder is going to be in project documents. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, you mean from a sales perspective?
No. Right now, the only thing that is uploaded there is the final folder, and if there's an archive folder. And that is for true simplicity. Yeah, that is the truth for true simplicity, so that people aren't pulling old documents. So if there's something that they need to see, you'll need to pull it in.
And what I would say, if you've got some use cases that you feel where you're putting stuff on the sell side that you feel is beneficial to automatically come here, get with Karyn or I, let's do a session and let's see where it is you're using and what that looks like. And we've had a lot of conversations about where we're getting data from. I'm not going to get into it. I hate even saying these two words, but signed scopes, how to get those. They're really bad words. Where to get those from. We're having a lot of conversations around that. So I want to see where you're doing it so we can kind of see where that fits in and what's the best process. Because there is definitely some data, I know especially on the wireless side, guys, there's always data that immediately the SA is trying to pass off to the consultant, right? If there's things like that, we can automatically start bringing in, let's do it. But that's gonna mean, which we didn't get into on these slides because I think you guys hear enough of it, but that means we get you all the data ahead of time. We want you coming to our IKO, have read that data, okay? So one of the things we did stress in the sales kickoff is every single team member on the Netsync project team, sales to post sales, be prepared for your meetings. We will get you guys the data. We'll find ways to get you the data to be prepared. We need you to take advantage of that. Okay.
Yep. One other quick thing to note before we move to the next one.
I only hit it once, I promise.
Oh, that's okay. I got you. I know.
Did you hijack this because you want me to speed up?
Yeah. The only thing that's visible to the customer is the project documents tab. And if there is an internal folder in there, that is not accessible to them. So everything else is all internal because it's got information we don't want them to see.
Yes. The struggle is the customer will see that. Let us process that.
Let's talk through that.
Yeah,
I think what you need to know is anything that you put in project documents is going to be accessible to the customer.
Yeah.
Unless it's in an internal folder.
Yeah.
Okay, last topic we're going to talk about. This is probably near and dear to every single person in this room. It's T&E, so timesheets and expense reports. So everybody should know, because I believe everybody in here has to do a timesheet, including Carl now. So on timesheets, some key things to note on this. You're going to have your timesheet from back way in the past, depending on when you started, all the way up to 2 weeks in advance. So a good thing to do is to sort by your start date column so that you can see the most recent one. And that will help to make sure that you select the right week. I know me personally, I've done it. I've put my time on the wrong week. And guess what? You don't get paid. And they don't tell you. So just make sure that you're choosing the right week for your dates. So when you submit your timesheets, you're obviously going to click the edit pencil. Everybody knows that. Some important things to note in this status column, this is going to tell you the status of your timesheet. So you'll see historical. Historical means that HR has pushed it through and it's gone to accounting and our payroll company to pay, okay? Historical, once it's historical, we can't touch it. We can't do anything with it. You'll also see submitted. Submitted means that you've submitted your timesheet and it's waiting for approval. You'll also see approved and approved partial. Approved means that all of your time has been approved and it's going to go to HR and they're going to push it through and it will go to payroll. Approved partial means some of your time has been approved. PMs approve time on projects. So if you've got multiple PMs, you're going to have all of your PMs approve your time. Your practice manager is going to be the one that approves your time. So there may be many different people that it has to go down the line to be approved. But if you do have one that says approved partial, you can open up your timesheet and you'll be able to see the person responsible for that line that's not approved. But rest assured, HR reaches out and makes sure we get them approved. You should be getting an automated email from Netsync Savant. So make sure you don't have any rules to dump that in a box somewhere else, because I know we get a lot of automated emails, but you should be getting an automated email saying your timer is rejected on this project. If you're not, let me know and we'll look into it. Yep, go ahead. So that was probably early on.
Mike. He's not here.
That was probably early on, and HR is watching it very closely now. Every 2 weeks, Tara has me on speed dial. So they're watching it now and making sure that it gets pushed through. But at the beginning, it wasn't. We recognize that. Wake up, Mike. Yep. Good point. And those reminder emails you get on Friday, early on Friday, when you're like, I don't even know what I'm going to do the rest of the day. Why is my timesheet needed right now? Why is it late? We realize it's not late, but that is HR going in and pressing a button. And when they press a button in Savant, it sends an automated email out to any person that has a timesheet that's not submitted for that time period. And so that's why you're getting it. I realize you get it a little bit early. I get copied on all of them for all of my team, so I know. But it's just a reminder, hey, you're one of the ones that hasn't done your timesheet. Just remember to do it. Okay. So the deadline for getting time in is still Fridays by 7 p.m. We still get a lot of people that have not submitted their time, and the PMs will attest to this. They'll go in and they have to have their time approved by 10 a.m., practice managers and PMs. There are resources that still go out there at noon and put their timesheet in on Monday. And then the PMs, they're already in meetings or they don't have time to go and double check. And then, of course, HR comes and says, hey, you need to approve this time. So again, Monday after 10 o'clock is too late. It should be Friday before you shut down your computer. If you work on the weekend, yes, I understand that, you may have to do it on Monday, but deadline is Friday night. Okay, so let's try to get our timesheets in as much as possible on time.
Remy?
I might add, if y'all do run into a situation with no emergency, happen, reach out to me and say, hey, not having to leave the bar, reach out to me and say, hey, give me a couple more hours, like that, so we'll be able to schedule around it, maybe before you leave, and then we'll cover all this.
Right, and we don't get automated emails to go approve time, because if we did, we'd probably beat our head against the wall every time somebody submitted time. So it's just a constant reminder for us to go in and check and review and approve time. If we do reject your time, there's probably a reason. So if we reject, you have to put in a note as to why you rejected. It should send an automated email to you. So make sure that you don't have those dumping into a folder. And usually the PM will reach out and just give you a quick IM and say, hey, this is the wrong project, or whatever it may be. Oh, for an RMA?
Yeah,
okay, so if you're returning a product, so there's different types of RMAs. So there's an RMA malfunctioning under warranty, meaning we got a part and it's not working for some reason. We have to open a TAC case or we have to reach out to the vendor. And it's covered under warranty. They'll provide a refurbished part or to replace it. You also have if you ordered it and then you find out you ordered the wrong part, or the customer says they don't need it anymore. That has to go through purchasing. Both of those have to be initiated by the project manager. So when that happens, you need to reach out to your PM, let them know, and they will initiate it in Savant with a change order or an RMA, and then it will start going through the process. Good question. Uh-oh. Jesse? So no, the shorter answer is no, but you do have your duplicate timesheet button in the top right-hand corner. Yeah, or cloning. So that's the easiest way. All projects that you put on your last timesheet, they'll automatically populate. There won't be hours to them. And then that way you can just fill in your time for that week and add any new projects that you worked on. Yes. It didn't used to, but it does now. Okay, expenses. So this is mainly, there's two types of expenses. There's your corporate card, your Amex, if you have one. And then there's also, if you don't have a corporate card, you may be putting in mileage or reimbursement. So the way to do an expense report, you'll search by your full name, you'll put your name in there, and it will bring up your available expenses if you have a corporate card. If you don't, you'll just do an add new and start a new one. It will come up with all of your expenses that you charged on your card, and you'll need to go in and put the job number and everything. You do get an automated email when your Amex charges hit, and a reminder to do your expense report. Okay, anyone have any questions on expenses? Liberty?
So I spend like, I use my Amex February 27, and then it doesn't show on the March. It also doesn't show in April. I got the receipt. Who will I contact so that I can expense that? And I check the Amex, it's paid. But still, I think it's like a bug that that certain $20 amount is not being shown in the report.
Okay, so it's showing up on your Amex
Correct. And they
credit
paid
card
it.
statement, but not as an expense here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question.
Probably
Sarah from accounting does all expenses, so we can get her your contact information, but if something like that does happen, reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with the right
Okay,
person.
because I got the receipt. It's just that it's not in March, and then I got the April. It's still not there. So I just want to make sure that what happened.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I got clicker scared.
This is
after
all
everything I was
self-explanatory.
doing.
You're just going to search by your job number of what you're going to charge it to. And you can also search by a description of the job or the customer name as well. Always make sure to put your receipt in there. And then if you took a customer out to lunch or someone out to lunch, you need to make sure that you have those names in there and what the reason for that was. Time off request. So PTO. This is pretty self-explanatory, but if you are taking time off, you're going to go to the time off request tab. You're going to click add new. In here, your name is going to auto-populate. You're going to choose what type of leave you want, paid PTO, unpaid PTO, or bereavement. And then you'll put your dates. Let's go back to that really quick. One thing to note is if you have, if you're taking a half day or not all 8 hours, you're gonna check that box that says, do you wanna take less than 8 hours of PTO? That's important, and then it will bring up a box that says, how many hours are you taking off? That's important because if you don't do that, it's going to hit your timesheet as a full 8 hours, and you can't edit that. If you're doing a half day and then you're doing several days after that that are full days, you're gonna need to do 2 different requests because it won't let you do the hours for just one day and then not for all the other days. That makes sense.
Karyn, do you want Karyn?
Yes.
Karyn, over here.
Mhm.
You want to mention also over the weekends because it automatically calculates now weekends
Yes.
and everything.
So if you go back, if you work on the weekend or you work on the and you want to take time off, you check your shift spans over a weekend, and then it will allow you to choose that weekend day to ask for PTO.
Last part, I promise, and then we can only.
Okay. All right, engineering tab. Do you want to go over that?
Yeah. So engineering tab, we wanted to call this out because this is a big thing this is where Taylor and his supervisors go to look at all the technician requests that the PMO is submitting. And really, that's also the way we try and forecast and set dates. So as a lot of you know, a lot of your work, you need a technician out on site with you. Well, we've got to see when they're available. And so one of the things is we are able to use engineering after we submit our technician requests. The PMs, anybody really, can come in here, but Taylor's team uses this religiously to go see availability, what's being requested, and how to figure out how to schedule the team. They can search by region, job, PM, different statuses. But this is how we are trying to figure out how to more efficiently schedule and proactively schedule. That's why it's important that we have conversations about dates with customers and not just the customer may tell you a consultant on a call. You may be having a long technical session. The PM's not on because they don't always need to be. Hey, I want this date. If you commit to that date and you need a technician and we don't have a technician, those are problems. So Taylor's team has been instructed from top down, and Taylor is enforcing it. If there is no technician request, the PM is not getting a tech. So it's very, very important that we collaborate and we figure out dates together, including with the customer. It's literally, the PMs live in Savant all day, so it's usually open. For a PM to go do a tech request, it should take them 1 or 2 minutes max and be done.
Yeah. So other things on this one, this is an internal module, but engineering DDD, that's going to be your documentation, and that's where it goes through the tech review and editing process, and that's sort of their queue. We also have engineering resources. So when we are assigned as PMs to a project, we'll go in and put an engineering request for the engineers that are scoped for that project, and put in what the targeted IKO is going to be, the internal kickoff, and then that's where the engineers will be assigned. And then we also have a very detailed view where you can go out, look in all RMAs and change orders and third-party invoices if you want to search rather than being in the project. So this is just sort of a high-level overview.
Okay, it's lunchtime. Let's all go eat. But we're here all day if you have questions.
One thing I want to ask, was this helpful?